はい、ということでやっていきましょうと。はい、ちょっと待ってください。ちょっと待ってください。いじるものが多いです。はくんやっほー、しのちゃんやっほー、どうも。はるくんおひさだね。忙しいのかな。ちょっと待って、足かゆいから足かくわ。ということで、なんか、今回は謎でやるというお話ですと。ちょっと待って。夏休みだから余裕できたから見に行く。でマジでね、僕ね、もう夏休みマジで外出たくないなってね、一生思ってるんだ。去年僕数回外出たんだよ。友達に誘われたりして。僕自身はあんま外出る気ないのにね、僕のね、友達とかによーく誘われるんだよね。あずさんどうもこんにちは。マジでね、すごいよね。めちゃめちゃケツが痛え。ちょっと待ってね。サムネ変えようかな。変えないって言ったから変えなくていい。8月いっぱいまで。こんな時代ね。リオさんやっほー。ちょっと待って。オッケー、やるか。ちなみになんですけど、ちょろっと触っちゃいました。2月に引っ越す。大忙しいのに。さあ、ということで、なんか、結構前にしてた、なんか、ちょうど1年くらい前に、プラスかなんかでしてたゲームです。皆さんこんばんは。こんにちは。今、こんばんはっつったね。ちょっと、充電する。ちょっとさ、今スマホ2台持っててさ、ちょっと雑談になっちゃうんだけど、通知が両方に来るから怖いんだよね。メールの通知もさ、LINE は来ないんだよ。LINE ってさ、通知開いちゃう。
A lot of this isn't going to make sense to you, and I'm sorry about that.
ゲーム音とかって大
I'm just going to start at the
丈夫
beginning
ですか？
with the house.
僕の知ってるところまでとりあえず進めちゃおうか。ちょっとゲーム音が怖いんだよね。BGM 切っとくか。こういうゲームってまず BGM ね、音負けるから。ちょっとだけ下げときます。だって BGM とないとなんかあれなんだけど。よいしょ。OK です。
I lived here until I was 11,
待って、
but
僕
I
のヘッド
wasn't
ホン裏
allowed
みたい。
inside half the rooms.
僕のヘッドホン 7.1 にできるからしてるんだけど。なんかさ、でかくねって。じゃあ、パパッと、僕が知ってるところくらいまで進めちゃおうかな。何これ。
Inside the mailbox were bills
なん
from
か、
7 years
なんか
ago, marked
PS4
urgent,
の、その、
open immediately.
ソニーの公式のやつでは、ホラーゲームとは書いてあった。なんか、ホラーアドベンチャーみたいな。アドベンチャー、なんてなんか、
I hadn't been back since
僕
my
も
brother
よ
Lewis's
くわかんないんだ
funeral.
よね。でも昔これ一回動画見たことあるんだよ、なんかで。
In her will, my mother left me a key, but didn't tell me what it unlocked. Maybe she thought I'd
で、
know,
こいつ手袋してない？
or she thought the mystery would be
なんか、
enough to bring me back.
ピンチって書いてある。さあ。そう、僕もね、何これって思って昨日、1週間くらい前に入れた。1週間嘘 ?5 日前ぐらいかなに入れたんだよね。どこ行くんだっけこれ。
The truth is, even after I inherited the house, I never thought I'd come back to it. but now I had questions about my
カエルの音
family
めっち
that
ゃす
only
る
the
ね。
house knew the answers to.
カエルなのかな。
The woods around the house have always been uncomfortably silent, as if they're about to say
すごいなんかあれ
something
だな。
but never do.
BGM ないとマジで何のゲームでも不気味にも思えちゃうんだけど、僕だけ。よいしょ。何これ。そう、僕ね、いや、ホラゲーは、なんか、これは多分ホラゲーじゃないんだよ。で、僕、ホラゲーを絶対にやりたくない理由っていうのが、前話したんだけどあって、
The house was exactly
僕
like I
マジでホラ
remembered
ゲ
it,
ー嫌いなんだ
the
よ。
way I'd been dreaming about it.
本当にホラゲーが嫌いで、絶対にやりたくないの。だけど、
As
や
a
れってずっ
child,
と言われる
the
のよ。
house made me uncomfortable in
だ
a
か
way
ら
I
どうしよう
couldn't
か
put
な
into
と思いなが
words.
ら、なんか適当にぼちぼちしてたら見つけたゲーム入れた。
Now, as a
ホラ
17-year-old,
ゲーじゃないみたいだよ。
I knew
なんとかなる。
exactly what those words were. I was afraid of the house. I hoped the key might unlock the front door. It didn't.
やりたいなって言ったら、よし。ああ、まあそれはね、人間みんなそういうもんだよな。ね、これ。なんか缶詰みたいの書いてない？花粉やばそうだね、ここ。これか。
Crawling through the doggy door used to be a lot easier when I was 11.
バレてるけど。
The power had been turned off the night we left.
唐突の謎ゲー、そうだよ。某サイトには主人公のままね、住んでた屋敷を相続、マッパが死ぬ前に主人公に鍵を渡すが、これ玄関の鍵ちゃうやん。あー、なるほど。待って、めっちゃ可愛いやつある。このタコ可愛くない？ほら。めっちゃつぶらにしてるよ。待って、これエイムできるんだけど。ほら。唐突の謎ゲーしてます、今。こういう電気って僕見たことないんだけど、なんかありそうでなくない？天井剥がれよる。
For the first time in years.
あ、で、今日6時くらいからランクやるんで、そんくらいには終わります。それくらいにこれが終わ
I
れば
felt like I
ね、
was home.
最悪今日しなくてもいいし、なんとかなる。
But instead of a family, there were just memories of one.
目みたいになってない？
Like how only one restaurant would deliver to our house, so we had Chinese a lot.
レストランがランクします。ランクしながら見に来るの？見に来るんですか？ これ
Or
は
how
なんだ？
after Lewis started working at the cannery, we all got sick of eating salmon.
缶詰工場。
Except our cat, Molly.
猫の森森蔵みたいな。
The table was still a wreck from the night we left.
何これ？腹があげないエペラですよ。それはそう。記憶の洗濯機みたいな感じで主人公が直接ホラーの目にはないらしいと。これは
It was like a bomb had gone off, killing everyone but sparing the furniture.
家財道具だけ無事に残ってる。ホラゲなのかホラゲじゃないのかわかんないらしいです。 一応なんか PSO のソニーのなんかプレイステーションの
Nothing in the house looked
説明のやつで
abnormal.
ホラーゲームっ
There
て
was
ジャンルに
just
入ってたけ
too
ど、
much of it, like a smile with too many teeth.
なんか関わる。開けようぜ開けようぜ開けようぜっつって。ぐるん。
Even the fireplace had a story. Edie told me the bricks came from the original house after it sank. Mom always told me to stay out of the basement, so I wasn't too surprised when the key didn't fit.
鍵さ、サイズ合ってなくない？明らかに。なんかミステリー感あるですね、確かに。
Great Grandpa Sven built a music box for Barbara, along with the rest of the house.
なんか不気味な音楽だね。オルゴールだね、オルゴールだね。
My mom wasn't much of an optimist, but she never stopped believing that my brother Milton was alive.
生きていると信じ続けていた。覗き穴ついてる。
Edie told me once that every finch who ever lived is buried somewhere in the library.
本当にお尻が痛い。よいしょ。めっちゃ本好きじゃない？めっちゃ本ない？なんか何そこ？あ、さっき来たところか。オッケー、バイバイ、はやくん。
After Milton disappeared, Mom sealed up all the bedrooms. Then Edie retaliated and drilled peepholes.
覗きや。大丈夫よーん。
The last time I was in Edith Senior's room, I was 10 and she was painting my portrait.
なんかさ、魚眼みたいな感じになってるね。ああ、3D アドベンチャー。某悪夢ゲームと比べて全く変わらず。じゃああれね、僕は本当に買おうか悩んだんだけど、さすがにやめたよね。マジで胸クソじゃん、絶対あれ。やりたく
As
な
a
いなと
kid,
思
I
っちゃっ
just
た。
assumed every house had peepholes and sealed rooms you weren't allowed inside of.
今の部屋すごいモフモフしてたね。
My Grandpa Sam spent 7 years sharing a room with his dead brother, Calvin.
ほうほう。1950から1961って書いてない？あー、覗かなくていいんだよ。ほら。ここは1年分しか増えてないけど。2010。なんかすごい偉そうな人いるね。
I spent a lot of time playing in Great Uncle Walter's room. I think my mom sometimes regretted not sealing it up.
すげえ。綺麗じゃない？眩し、待ってめいて。あの悪夢はホラーの度合いと、そうですね、種類が酒になってるけど。ハリポタ感ある。
Lewis told me there were secret passages, but I never believed him.
南京錠の鍵。
Turns out, my mom was really good at keeping secrets. Now it was time to find out what my mom had been afraid of. From the paintings on the wall, it was clear my brother Milton had been here before me. Reading this, maybe it sounds like I had a plan.
見えると。さっきも出てたけど、変換ミス。
But I had no idea what was behind that door.
カチャコン。ユニコーンの頭あるけど。
Just like I had no idea where all this was gonna lead.
折れてね。ノートある。
I grew up looking at Molly's room through the peephole. Molly's gerbil had a tiny bedroom with its own even tinier gerbil cage.
何これ、なんかちっちゃいケージに入ってない、なんか10分の1スケールみたいな。
Being inside for the first time, I felt like I'd stepped behind a painting. I got the sense Edie had spent a lot of time here before my mom sealed the doors.
December 13th, 1947. Dear Diary, I'll be gone soon, but I wanted to tell somebody about what's gonna happen.
10分の1ス
It
ケールっつっ
started
て
when Mom sent me to bed without
10
dinner.
分の1スケールのケージ
I
って
woke up and I was starving, so I looked around for something to eat.
なんかあるなこれ。何これ、人参？
The gerbil food was dry, but I didn't mind it.
二口で食ってない？福永さんどうもこんにちは。メダカ？食え食え
I thought about eating Christopher, but I held back.
食えハルさんどうも。空気ないらしいですね。メダカは食ってくんないんだ。なこいつメダカ？金魚？金魚だよな。メダカじゃねえな。ちょ覗かんといて覗かんといて。なんかない？なんか。あ、こっちなんかある。
I ate a lot of things that night.
手真っ白やな。なんか不気味だな。
I kept eating and eating.
歯磨き粉？ちえー。チョコミントだと思って食えばいけるんじゃない？
Then I heard chirping outside my window. It was a barn swallow going back to her nest. I reached out for her.
なんかいろいろと食ってるね。ネズミの餌の人参食ったり、歯磨き粉食ったりしてたけど。
I was a cat.
体ないけど。屈伸できる？屈伸じゃねえ、これジャンプだ。前出て。
I tried to be quiet, but the bird was really scared.
飛ばないよ。あえて上を行く。猫の気持ちになれるゲームだった、このゲーム、まさか。
I jumped and I almost got her.
危ない。猫。なんかすげえ、オシャンティーのところ来た。
I could tell she was getting really tired. Now I was up in the big tree. I promised Dad I wouldn't climb it
じゃあ乗って
anymore.
みようか。
All I cared about was eating that mama bird. I gobbled her up,
おお。
and suddenly I was an owl.
袋になる。
First, all I heard was the wind. Then I heard little teeth nibbling in the grass.
あるに上がってる？操作教えてください。
Rabbits.
ウサギっつった？ウサギ？ちょっと降りるのこれ下。あ、こうだ。ウサギなんて見えませんが。あ、いた。頼む、届け。あ、オッケー。
I imagined his face looking up and seeing mine through my talons. I swallowed him up, and I didn't chew. Then I flew off to find something bigger.
フクロウってウサギ食べるのかな。思いっきり探すってこと？
A mama rabbit
どこ？あ、いた。あいつ、肉食なんすか？
She was almost too big to carry.
初めて知った。
I started choking, but I couldn't stop eating.
丸飲みしてね。
And suddenly, I was a shark.
おい。あれも。あ、動けるよ。ほら、尻尾フリフリするぞこいつ。あ、全部できる。シールないだろこれ。
I rolled off the cliff and into the ocean. Now, I was hungrier than ever.
なんかいる。船あるよ。船食うか。なんかいる。なんかいなかった今。突っ込めろなんか。あ、なるほど。
I wanted fat, juicy seals.
待ってー。お前足速い。足速いよ君。速い。あれどこ行った？あれどこ？どこ？あ、いた。届いて。当たってないの？
I tore off her flipper and it tasted really good.
引きちぎったっつって。どこ？ここ。食え。いけ。
I grabbed on tight, but I was so hungry, I jumped out of the water. When I opened my eyes, everything had changed.
タコ足入ったんだけど。タコ足が一回転してる。オッケー。ほら、僕のタコ足が、なんか、タコ足が。取り組んじゃね？何これ？
Now I was a monster and I smelled people everywhere.
人間の匂い。おー、引っかかった。赤いコン食おうぜ。待て。そう。あれ？あー、なんかいたでしょ。僕の足どこ行った？この足が言うこと聞かん。あ、オッケー。なんかいる。
I was big and real quiet.
こっち来る。こんにちは。丸飲みしてるけど人間丸飲み今。
I wanted to stop, but also I didn't.
開けるわ。ちょっと手長くない？何それお世話なの？酔ってる？情けねえ声出していくな。いや死んでったけど。足長くね？絶対モテるよこいつ。足長いやつモテるって誰か言ってる。
After the last passenger, I was still hungry. And to cross the water, I smelled something new. Something I had to have, so I swam towards it.
耳がかゆい。痛いよ、ちょっと待って。 あれ
I slithered onto the sand, and the good smell went into an old pipe.
あとは動いてくれる。え、何ここ。あ、トイレから出てくる何か言うこと聞いて。あら、
I got closer and closer.
あれ、部屋戻ってきたってこと？待って、酔う。ちょっと待って。待って、僕このゲーム酔うかもしれん。
All my stomach
何こ
started
れ。
growling.
タコ。サメとタコがあった
And
りするのいいか
suddenly,
み
I
たい
was
な。
me again. I held my breath for a long time, but I couldn't hear anything.
自分の足に振り回せる。足一つ一つが自我持ってる。
It's not going to wait much
多
longer.
分自分で制御してない。
Needs to
だって
be, and we
ケ
both
ツが
know
痛いよ。尻が痛いです。
delicious.
で、どういうこと？死んじゃったってこと？
I'm not sure if I believed all of that, but I'm sure Edie would have.
ふい、ふい、ふい。あ、開くのかな？開いた。これさ、あ、戻してくれなかった。
This will be obvious later, but my mom never told me any of
今の
these
ところだいぶ
stories.
置いてかれてる。
Edie would have, but Mom didn't like bringing up the past. Though, when we adopted a stray kitten, she was the one who named it Molly.
森。
I spent a lot of time in Great Grandma Edie's room.
さっきなった猫ってこと？え？なんか昨日いた。
Louis died a week before we left, but Edie had already started to memorialize him. Her room was like a museum. For 500 years, the Finches have been famous throughout Norway. Odin Finch buries the latest victims of the family curse, his wife Ingeborg and their newborn son, Johan. On January 7th, 1937, he set sail with his family and his house, hoping to leave the curse behind. But 40-foot waves off the coast of Washington send the house and Odin to the bottom of the sea.
波ってフィートで表されるの？
Odin's daughter Edie, with husband Sven and baby Molly, step ashore on their new home, Orcas Island. Odin Finch is the first to be buried in the new family cemetery. His daughter Edie is already dreaming of a new Finch house.
屋敷を夢見てた。あれ？これさっきも言ったよね。終わりか。
Whatever's wrong with this family, it goes back a long ways.
ふっふっふっふっ閉じちゃった。なんか猿、何こいつ。なんか見たことあるんだけどこいつ。なんか見覚えない？内ごと流された挙句真っ先にやられた。内ごと流される。
Even in her 90s. Sometimes Edie seemed a lot younger than my mother.
ちょっと若い感じ。ガチャコーン。あれ？モフモフしてる。実際見てみたらぺちゃんこだね。これなんか紙ペラが床に貼っつける。なんかメガネあるけど、このメガネ曲がってない？あれゼンマイ回して動くタイプの貝あるやん。 風呂場に入れてどっか行く、どっかっていうか壊れるやつ。出したら絶対に、これ。パブ G の鎮痛剤みたいなやつがあるけど。鎮痛やん、これ。なんだろう。
The only trace Grandpa Sam's first wife Kay left on the house was the pink bathroom.
へえ。
It was a pretty big trace.
これ全部お肉ハンバーグ作る。ミンチしてよ。ドアかなあれ何記事の書き全部同じ。ああ、なるほどね。防犯のあれなんもないってことか。
There's a secret in this bathroom. It's in the last place you would look. It isn't in the cupboard.
全部戻す。全部戻す。
It's hidden in this book.
びっくりした。ドカンとか言うから。ジャンプ。400って書いてある。
Sven gave Sam an old camera he'd refurbished. He never put it down.
Hi. なんか勉強机の椅子みたいなの出てきたけど、足めっちゃ太いねこれ。
I knew Grandpa Sam had a twin.
Wait.
And that he never talked about him.
字丸まってくのどこ行っちゃった。
I guess my grandpa didn't like history any more than my mom did.
センター。すげえ。ポチ。またあれ開くんか。
How I Want to Remember My Brother by Sam Finch. The thing I remember is that when he made up his mind, that was it.
え？足プラプラする。ほら。
My brother said he'd die before he
足パタパタするこれ。
And he did.
スペイでしてるブランコしろってこと？あ、なるほど。
At Barbara's
この
funeral,
ブラン
he
コを
swore
乗っ
he'd
て飛
never
び降り
be
た時
afraid
に
again.
背中から落ちた僕
And
が
he wasn't.
思い
I
切りやっ
think
てやろう。
Calvin always wanted to fly.
この状態で飛ぶとさ、死ぬくないこれ。
But that day, he finally made up his mind to do it.
どこまで急なんだろう。
I told him going around was impossible.
はい。
Maybe if I hadn't said that.
ふい。ふい。え、フェイスブック動いてない。
Maybe if the wind hadn't picked up. Then maybe he'd still be here.
おお。
But I doubt it.
おお。
I think he'd already made up his mind.
いける。
That's what I want to remember about my brother.
おお、いかない。これ逆さだよね。落ちて。
The day he made up his mind to fly, and he did.
でも本当に滑り台じゃない。あれは危ないこれ。ブランコ？背中から落ち
Calvin's
たからね、
story
ジャンプ
felt
したら。
strangely familiar. When I was younger, I remember trying to do the exact same thing. After the funeral, Edie roped off Calvin's half of the room.
部屋の半分。自力静止。ああ。はい。何これ？そうかな？お金かな？ ってこーい。えバー。ああ、あげるの拾うかと思った。うわー、ハイテク。中いるよ。どうも。
The passages were a pretty tight fit. They'd obviously been built for smaller hands and bellies.
左もあるけど、こっち行ってみるか。猫。
Growing up, I always
びっく
thought
り
of
した。
Barbara as a child star.
びっくりした。何こいつ。ギター。こんにちは。タイプライターあるよ。
I never thought about how hard it must have been for her afterwards.
ねこれ。ろうそくぶっ刺さってるけど。ポップコーン踏んどこうぜこれ。ほらほら。次はどこに行けば？
Of all the stories people wrote about Barbara's death, I'm surprised Edie saved this one.
Old Jack here with another ghastly tale inspired by America's most unfortunate family. I'm calling it The Surprise Ending of Barbara Finch. As a child star, Barbara was famous for her scream. Now at 16, she was all washed up. A has-been. But in a lucky break, she'd been asked to perform her signature scream at a local convention for monster movie fans. It was just the boost her career needed. Unfortunately, her scream hadn't aged well.
Getting better. I think you just need the right motivation.
Her biggest fan and current boyfriend, Rick, was about to demonstrate when...
Now that was a great scream.
It was Barbara's father, Sven. He'd slipped into a table saw and had to be rushed to the emergency room. So Barbara got stuck babysitting her youngest brother, Walter. Her convention comeback was cancelled.
Okay, I'm hearing frustration, but I'm not hearing terror. What if I tried...
A gang of hoodlums in Halloween masks have been terrorizing Orcas Island tonight. Police are urging residents to...
That came from the basement.
You're right! Also, I loved your delivery on that. Why is your basement door locked?
Because my dad likes making puzzles and secret passages. There's a key hidden in the music box.
Oh.
The secret is to keep winding and winding until finally the key pops out.
Thanks, babe. I'll be back in a sec.
20 minutes later,
持ち手ポロって取れるってことでしょ。
So Barbara went to look for him, right on cue.
持ち手ポロって取れて。
She reached for the music box. And as she wound the key, she listened for Rick, but the house was silent.
すげえ。動かせるんだけど。じゃあ帰ろうぜーっつって。
She found Rick's crutch and imagined the worst.
なんか死んでない？これでビリヤードしようぜ。松葉勢で。殴れる。おら、おら、おら。おはようございます。 絵が急にボーダーランズ確かにボーダーランズみたい。ボーダーランズ確かにこんな感じだよね。
The gang's leader is the infamous hookman killer, Dr. Carl Hamill, who impaled and then ate his family 10 years ago
食べ
tonight.
たという。怖いこれ、なんか。あー。さっき手巻き込んだみたいな言ってたやつか。サンドバッグ。ほら。ほら。ほらほら。なんかないの？こっち？
The old fridge rattled and grew still.
帰らせて。知らん。
Oh dear!
Oh.
Rick?
Barb, relax. I was just trying to scare you to help you find your scream.
Well, I'm not scared, Rick. I'm furious.
Then act furious. All I'm getting from you now is that you're hurt and confused and you're...
She threw him out,
ガチャン。
but she kept a little something to remember him by.
Barb, have you seen my other crutch?
あらま。
And she was still holding it when she fell asleep watching the late picture show. Hours later...
Barbara! Walter, what's going on up there?
何がどうしたの？
Okay, I'm coming up. But if this is a trick, you're dead, Walter.
ちょっと怒ってるね。あ、行かないといけない。なんでまだ松葉杖持ってんだよ。おらおらちゃげちゃげ誰の骨？見るからに人間の骨。あ、あれか。ハロウィンかなんかみたいな。さっき言ってたから。ローラースケートが歩いてきた。
Walter, are you there? Walter had vanished, but his bedside radio was still on.
Orcas Island police described the man as 6 feet tall, with a steel hook for a hand. Residents are urged to lock all doors and windows and notify the police of any suspicious activity.
Barbara turned, saw the hook man, and was speechless. He was quite smashing.
おい、蹴りかましていく。
He couldn't get enough of Barbara.
Okay, Barbara, there's gotta be another way out of here.
いや、出てくる。殴る。おわー、なんか可愛いのいる。ほら、ほら、ほら、ほら。あれは殴っても帰ってくるやつやん。これ？
That night, she played her part beautifully.
なんか割と冷たい。今、退治してんの
She
に。
thought about abandoning Walter, but just couldn't do it.
じゃあ裏取りしよう。
Molly's door hadn't been opened in years. The hinges groaned. He wasn't moving, but she sensed the story might not be over yet.
いや、僕、なんかやっちゃいましたいや、あいつはまだ生きてる。こんにちは。あれ？
The hookman had vanished. She listened for his breathing, But all she heard was...
チャイム鳴ってるね。これってチャイムで鳴ってる、合ってるの？僕いつもピンポンって呼んでるんだけど。おーい、いたずらすな、いたずらすな、おい。あ、いや、いや。後ろだー。お前さん、これ。え？サプライズで人殺す。サプライズで今人のこと殴ったって、サプライズに気づかなくて人のこと殴ったま？
Barbara Finch gave the performance of her life. I wasn't there myself, but I hear Barbara was magnificent. Poor girl. She had a taste for stardom. But unfortunately, so did her fans. Of course, the police blamed it all on poor Rick, who disappeared the same night. And little Walter, hiding under his bed the whole time. He took it all pretty hard, but that's another story. As for Barbara, tucked inside the music box is all they ever found of her. Her ear. Now that's what I call a real eerie tale.
笑い方ユーリスみたい。おお。耳の部分を上に置いとくと。あのオルゴールじゃカチカチやってみようよ。
Edie told me all Barbara wanted was to be remembered. As absurd as that comic was.
持ち手そこなの？持ち手で殴ったの？
Maybe what Edie saw was a happy ending.
まあちょっと突っ込んじゃいけないところだ。多分そう。でここから行けるところあるかな。これで死んじゃったってこと？邪魔しました。
I guess now I know why Mom didn't like me playing with the music box.
ああ、なるほど。カチャ。どうも。鍵どこにあったっけ？くるくる回すのどこにあった？1階だっけ？あ、力から1階。この辺か。これで耳入ってたら嫌だよ、僕。暗いんだって。カチャカチャやってみるか、じゃあ。ここ。回んないよ？回った。お！血が入った。何これ。それ不気味なんだけど。おお。すげえ、牢屋みたいになってるぞ。僕何もしてないです。
Mom said the basement was off limits, unless I wanted another tetanus shot.
正面の注射もどんな脅しや。
I saw Edie sneak down to the basement once, carrying packages. I thought maybe she was hiding presents.
待って、本当にびっくりしたもん。なんか出てくるんじゃないかなって思っちゃった自分がいるんで、本当に怖かった今。すっごい怖かった。ちょっと僕の椅子めっちゃうるせえ。ギコギコ言う。暗くない？ちょっと前行きたくない。洞窟？
I remember asking Mom once about where Walter had gone.
BD 苦手だからかなんか寄ってきた。
She said after Barbara died, he got as far away as he could.
すげえ。
If there's a pattern in all these
Shelter?
stories,
共通点があるし、全員死んだってこと
I
だよ
think
ね。
it's that none of us has gotten very far.
あ、人気だ。
Goodbye, everyone. I can't believe I've been down here for 30 years.
眩しいよ。
On that first day, after the shaking started, I didn't think I'd survive a week.
あ、落ちちゃった。え？あ、ここだ。
But after a few days, I
勝手
settled
に動いて
into
く
a
れる間？
routine. That's what kept me sane.
空いてなくね？空いてるやん。
Having a schedule, living for today. I always expected to be dead tomorrow. But if you wait long enough, you get used to anything.
バイバイ。でもまた開けるの？
Even a monster on the other side of the door
使い方しなかっ
starts
た
to
ね。
feel normal. Almost friendly.
さあ、この音いいよね。なんかペリペリペリって。
And then one day, everything just
なんかレッドイコンずっと隠れてたわけ。無限に。
whatever that thing was, it was gone. Maybe it got tired of waiting. Or maybe I just got tired of being afraid.
これでもそのまま飲み込まなかった。
It's been a week now, the longest in 30 years.
2005年。
I'm done waiting.
いつの終わりだ。
I have to leave. Well, I still can.
Hmm. この家本大好きじゃん。ねこれ。どこ？
I know it's out there somewhere.
開けてごっくんしてるね。
And Molly.
萌えって猫だっけ？あ、なんかいた人か。
And Calvin. Maybe this is
本
all
か
a
なんか出てき
mistake.
てるね。うわ
But I need to stop living the same day. Even if it kills me.
ぁ。おう。
Whatever's out there, I want you to know I'm ready for it.
ハンマー持ってきた？
I'm going to appreciate all of it, especially the food. I don't mind if I only have a year left. Or a month. Or a single week. I'd be happy with one new day. I can already imagine the sun on my face.
え？ え？
Walter died when I was 6. I can't believe my mom never told me he was down
Eh?
here.
引かれた？太陽の光かこ電車。
I'm sure my mom was trying to protect
だった
me.
ね。でもハンマーで割ったからさ、洞窟の中間地点に壊したあれか入ったんか。
Maybe she was afraid I'd end up like Walter. But if she never told me about an uncle under the house...
このコアラうぜえな。エクストラクリスピーって書いてある。
I can only imagine what else she was hiding. I don't want to make the same mistakes she
米って書い
made.
てあるよ。ブラウンライス。米。さっきのコアラもいる。
Trying to bury something that's still alive. Now that there's only one of us left, or maybe two, I thought it was time I heard the stories for myself
引かれないから大丈夫かな。
and found out what happened to everyone else. But now I'm worried the stories themselves might be the problem.
これ景
Maybe
色変
we
わってね
believed。so much in a family curse. We made it real.
これ死んじゃったってことなのかな。さっきカレンダーに書いてあると同じだもんね。2005って。
I don't know if I should even be writing this.
誰かいる？誰かいない？ちょっと待ってね。コメントを見せた端末が僕ってようから。
Maybe it'd be better if all this just died with me. But I thought you should know about your family. And the history you're a part of.
どこ行けばいいの？ここ？いけないな、最初だね。
Though to be honest, I feel as lost as you probably do right now. I think the people in these stories believed them, for what that's worth. And when you look at the house, that history of imagination and stubbornness and madness, any of it seems possible. I think we've been surrounded by death for so long, we've just gotten used to it. What kind of family finishes building a cemetery before starting the house? It's embarrassing for me to admit this, but the pet cemetery made me more uncomfortable than the human one. 3 of the gerbils were mine, and 2 had been my fault. Sven built the house, but it was Edie who designed the cemetery.
あ、それがさっきの人のお墓か。洞窟から出てたからってこと？これスターってことでしょ？正規行った人だっけ？すげえ。
I'm sure Odin's monument had been Edie's idea. My mom was always trying to move on, but for Edie, the past never went away.
Okay.
She could see it poking out of the water at low tide.
なんかかっこいいね、これお金入れて覗くやつ。
Edie said she dreamed about the old house every night.
なんでお家、あ、なんか話であったね。
Edie's side was always easier for me to understand. But the older I get, the more I can see where my mom was coming from. Her dad had been pretty strict, but it wasn't enough to save her brothers. She was just trying to do better.
めちゃめちゃ人死んでない？
She lost 2 of her brothers, just like I did. I get why she tried so hard to protect us. There's so many things I wish I could ask my mom now. Part of me thinks this is what she wanted all along. For me to come back someday and find everything out for myself.
よく登れるな、こんなガチャーンってなっちゃいそうじゃない？
But looking back on it now, if she told me there was going to be so much climbing, I never would have come when I was 22 weeks pregnant.
あ、妊娠してたんだ。
I never met Grandpa Sam, but I think he and my mom had a lot in common.
似ていたと思う。 くりした。
They were both pretty intense.
こういうのって本物なのかな。なわけないか。よくできてるよね。こちら6時からメインアカランク、6時前からメインアカランク。お。
Dawn, I promise, you'll never forget this weekend.
Yes, sir.
These memories are gonna last a lifetime.
Am I gonna have to shoot anything?
It's a hunting trip, Dawn. Shooting is strongly encouraged.
Shouldn't we be leaving?
Just want to get a shot of you, Dawn, then we can take off.
What? It's too early, Dad.
Perfect.
It's gonna rain the whole weekend, isn't it? I will never forget this weekend, Dad.
That's the spirit. Okay, got it.
I'm gonna take some pictures, okay?
Just be careful. That camera's older than you are.
You're right, Dad. It's starting to clear up. Still freezing, though.
なんかいないかな。なんかいないかな。何あれ。
Definitely should not have drunk all that coffee.
何と言えばいいんだろう。なわけないな。
Nothing quite like being outside.
あ、そういうこと？
Hold still while I take a picture of you.
I definitely won't be moving.
Are you done yet?
Does it sound like I'm done? Oop. A little more gas in the tank, I guess.
Yeah.
Hey!
That's a keeper.
I'm just saying, I'm not always gonna be here, Dawn. You'll need to remember this stuff, if you want to survive.
I'll be fine, Dad.
You know who else thought he was gonna be fine?
Some guy who died.
Dawn, I'm being serious.
I know, Dad. You're always serious. Doesn't being out here make you want to chill out?
Well, to tell you the truth, I haven't been out here in 20 years. Last time I was with my brother Calvin. Man, that was a great trip. Your grandpa Sven taught us how to fish, how to build a fire. We found an old logging trail. There were deer everywhere. I bet if I could remember where that trail... Dawn, don't you think you could find something more interesting to photograph? Give me a minute to check the map. Let's see.
Dad!
Good eyes, Dawn. Before you take the shot, let me get a picture of you.
Dad, I...
Just breathe. Turn off your imagination. Focus on your target. Let me get behind you.
Do I have to do this?
Dawn, you don't have to do anything. But if you want to survive, you'll need to be strong. Now keep yourself squared up, elbows down, like we practiced. Whenever you're ready.
Nah.
Great shot, Dawn.
自撮りしてる。
I'm proud of you, Dawn. Always remember that, okay?
Dad, it's twitching. I think
That's
it's
totally normal, Dawn. Just focus on the camera. Try not to think about...
Dad!
あ。
Of all these stories, that's the one I wish most that my mom had told me.
あと4つくらいしかない。
Sam spent his life shooting photos, but Mom said he got nervous being in front of the camera. I guess we're all afraid of something.
なんかめっちゃ本当にありそうな写真だね。
After Sam died, my mom and Edie got really close. They'd both lost a lot.
Hmm. 後で LINE 送っといて、配信終わったらあれするわ。ね、これ。
Dear Kay, do you remember the way Gregory used to laugh when he thought he was alone? Like something funny was happening, but only he could see it.
さっきあったカエルじゃ
I
ん。
think he saw things the rest of us don't.
赤ちゃんになっちゃった。バブ。1000枚巻いてないよ。
Watching over Gregory, it's time to... Hold on, sweetie. Hello? Sam, I told you I don't want to talk right now.
一回
I
転。
wonder what he saw.
うい。ほ。オッケー。よいしょ。どこ？おう。
What his world was like. He reminded me so much of Calvin. Lost in his imagination.
うい。
Whatever it was, he saw.
すげえ。果の面動いてる。 ほい。何すればいいのこれ。待って。まさかだけどさ。
It sure made him happy.
おお。クジラピクピクしてる。なんかね、急にここに来た。おお。おお。前から飛ぶとめっちゃ飛ぶってことか。なるほど。
I know how silly it sounds.
なんか、これは何？
That I worried about a baby being too happy. But I could feel him slipping away.
Sorry about that, Gregory.
I know you did everything you could. Maybe if I hadn't called that night.
Hold on, I don't want Gregory to hear this.
Whoa!
I wish you could
待って、あれまあ。止めてください。
about the world he saw.
止めてください。
Hey, there's so much I don't understand about Gregory. About everything. But I know what happened wasn't your fault. I'm sure he's happy. And he'd want you to be happy too. Good luck, Kay. Love, Sam.
Hmm. なるほど。これか。ロッカーは何なんだろうね。
I can't imagine my mom ever writing poetry, and yet...
A poem for Gus, who always said the wedding was a bad idea. Our father never hit us kids, at least not very hard, before the day my brother said with teenage disregard that he'd be dead before he'd see a wedding in our yard.
Whee!
My father made him come, of course, but Gus stood far apart, just flew his kite and bottled up the storm inside his heart. I tried to talk him out of it, but though he'd never met her, we don't need a stepmom, were the words that I
now
remember.
pronounce you husband and wife. You may kiss the bride.
これどうすればいいんだろう。字なんかあるのかな。字、あ、これだ。字をなぞると
When
なん
the
か
time for photos came, Dad ordered him to come here. But Gus
Yeah.
declined, and as a sign, held up his middle finger.
中指を立て答えた。
The wind picked up, and panicked geese appeared and quickly went. But all the humans did that day was go inside the tent.
はい。あ
The rain came down in buckets then, but no one seemed afraid that nature might destroy the tent our dad had crudely made. The thunder sounded much too close and full of angry power. But all my father said to this was, "Make the music louder."
あ。わあ。ぼったりしてるけど、なんか。おお。
I wish that I could truly say I thought about you on that day.
わあ。
Out there on the beach alone, just you, the wind, the sea, and foam. But I didn't. Until we found you.
うんうん。
She never talked about him, but Mom told me once if I was a boy, they were going to name me Gus. My mom moved up to the loft after her brothers died. At the time, it was as far away as she could get. She spent a summer building houses in Calcutta, where she met my dad, Sanjay.
家を建築するプロジェクトに参加した後、へえ。
Religion was another thing my mom never talked about, but I think it helped her a lot after her dad died.
電気ある。あ、びっくりした。あー、なるほど。ここだけなんでベッドないんだろう。上登れないでしょ。なんか探してみようか。来た道帰るんかな。来た道帰ってみようか。君だな、なんかマジで。
Instead of hiding from death, Sam seemed to go out of his way to meet it.
ん？何かないのかな。引き出しとか開けれる？なんかないかな。これがそのカメラ。入れてくれないんだよな。どこ行けばいいんだろう。物とか置いてあるけど。これじゃない。じゃあなんもないよ。やばい、そうそう5時半になっちゃう。5時半くらいになったら終わりになるかな。5時半くらいになって霧が良くなったからなるかな。めっちゃ暇で、何なんだろう。こっち行ってみるか。セーブ入った。軍人だったってことなのかな。今日日記も何もないんだよね。じゃあないのかな。日記みたいなのもなさそうだもんね。 登ってみるか。なんもないよね。でもこれ先行けないし、どうすればいいんだろう。上にまだなんかあるのかな。なんかまだやり残してるっぽいんだよな。なんだろう。なんだろうな。来るたびここセーブされるね。何してないんだろう。一回登ってみるか。登れ登れ。この上に何かあるかな。あ、窓あるわ。
My mom moved to India a week after graduation and got a job teaching English. Louis was born a year later. When my dad died, I don't think Mom knew where else to go. I'm sure Edie was happy to have her back. The house had to get a little bigger, but Edie was used to that. And for a while, things were good. Almost normal. But it didn't last. The beginning of the end was Milton's 10th birthday, when Edie gave him a castle. After Milton disappeared, the only thing he left behind was a room full of paintings.
?2003 って書いてあるけど、この辺は入れないっぽいもんね。あー、覗いちゃった。入れる。邪魔しまーす。
Milton Finch in The Magic Paintbrush.
これも日記ってこと？ペラってできるんじゃないの？あ、やっぱできるわ。 あ、パラパラ漫画。ほうほう。
I was 4 when Milton disappeared.
3、あと3つ。せっかくなら終わらせたいよね。
Mom spent months searching for my brother. Then she sealed the doors. Whatever Milton had found in the house, Mom didn't want it getting out. Mom definitely blamed Edie, but I think Lewis blamed himself. After he graduated, he just spent more and more time in his room, until Mom got him a job at the cannery.
なんかさっき缶詰工場の話ですよね。なんかさ、一番最初にあったよね。
Lewis's room smelled very, very familiar. That part of him lived on.
Dear Mrs. Finch, as Lewis's psychiatrist, I can understand your desire for an explanation. As I see it, the trouble began in January, shortly after we convinced your son to seek treatment for substance abuse. Newly sober, I believe Lewis first noticed the monotony of his daily life. He kept working at the cannery, but he withdrew part of himself. In our sessions, I saw the same behavior. His mind began to... wander. I asked him to describe it. He said he started small, imagining a labyrinth. He'd feel his way about. Then something moved. Bats. And toads. And things that have not names. He knew it was all in his head. But he took it very seriously. I had hoped he'd find himself.
どっか行っちゃった今一匹。
But he found something more. I worried about him then, daydreaming at the cannery. I spoke with his boss, but he said Lewis had become a model employee. Methodical, tireless, focused. Like a whole new Lewis. So I let him go on. I even encouraged him. It seemed very promising at first. He told me he'd made a new friend. On the edge of a city he named Lewis Topia. He built the city up slowly, brick by brick. Then he made musicians. And songs for them to play. He talked about starting a band. And he was always humming something. Every day his imagination grew stronger. He no longer spoke at the cannery. But his chopping was as reliable as ever. Then one day it struck him that all the cheering crowds, even the stones under his feet, were all in his imagination, so he could do whatever he wished. He held an election for mayor. And he won.
Mario じゃん。
They begged him to stay, but his mind was already wandering. It became a game for him. He'd conquer a city, then immediately push on. New Louisville. St. Louis. He started drifting away from our reality. Minneapolis. Until one day he forgot to go home from the cannery. Even as his mother pleaded with him, part of Lewis kept sailing on. In Lewisburg, he heard rumors of a beautiful prince. The prince was on his own quest for sinister serpents. He followed the sound of his electric sitar. His chase led him to a golden palace east of the sun and west of the moon. Even then, his logic remained sound.
おお、紫持ってるよ。
He knew the world was all in his
うわ、いっ
imagination.
ぱい飛んできた。
But he was so proud of having created it. In his own eyes, he'd become something greater than a king. For someone who'd never known success in the real world, I think it was overwhelming. And then it struck him that the real Lewis was not the one chopping salmon, but the one climbing the steps of a golden palace. My imagination is as real as my body, he told me. It was hard to argue with him.
Oh. Eh?
He began to forget the world we know. I think it pained him to remember Lewis, the cannery worker. He began to despise the man with a royal contempt. I still thought I could save him. Even after he said he was being crowned king over all the lands of wonder. The palace would be packed with his companions. Including the wise Calico who'd insisted on advising him. His prince waited, holding his crown. There was only one thing left to do. Bend down his head. The rest I think you know. Mrs. Finch, your son was a kind man who will be missed by all of us who knew him.
My brother was really cool. I wish you could have met him.
続けるか続けないかなんだよな、今判断。終わらせるか、ここまで来たし。もうちょっとで終わりそうだし。パパー、こんにちは。
On the way back from Lewis's funeral, my mom told me to start packing. She waited until the day before we left to tell Edie. I'm not sure if she wanted to make it easier or harder.
お願いします。あれ、お肉あるけどまた。
But I understand why we left.
はい、ごめんね。
What happened that night had been coming for a long time. Maybe it should have come sooner.
よかったのかもしれない。
But it had to end one way or another. All that's left now is to tell you about that last night. That whole last day, Edie just watched us pack and didn't say a word. Until supper, when she raised her glass and said,
"To our final night together, and all our final nights apart."
Grandma, you know what I said about alcohol. Some of your medications are very
Edith,
specific.
I left a present for you in the hallway. Why don't you go open it? The grown-ups have to argue now.
I'm sorry, you're right. We're all leaving tomorrow. Let's just enjoy our last...
I'm not leaving.
Edith, you're excused.
いいですってこの人だよね、主人公が。廊下に
The power had been shut off that morning, but Edie always had plenty of candles. When my mom sailed the library, I don't think she knew about the other entrance. Or that Edie had a key to it.
あとこれとあれかもう一つか。
That thing you're afraid of isn't going to end when you leave the house. Edith has a right to know these stories.
My children are dead because of your stories. I think it's best if Edith and I leave tonight. We'll have the nursing home send a van for you in the morning. Okay?
Dear Edith, there's so many stories I wish I could tell you, but there's only time for one. This is about what happened on the night you were born. That night, the tide went way, way out. It was the first and last time I ever saw the old house aground. There'd been an earthquake out in the middle of the ocean. They called it the lowest tide in 1,000 years. God, it smelled awful. You know, I've seen that house every day of my life.
潮だとずっと見えるみたいなのある。
But I never thought I'd go back to it.
帰るとか一度も思わなかった。
When the fog rolled in, I lost my way. I got turned around. I started seeing things. Things I'd forgotten had ever existed. But when I saw them, they felt like old friends. That night, a lot of things came back to me. Or maybe I came back to them. things I can't explain, but that I need you to try and...
Edith, what are you doing in here?
It's mine.
Edith!
Mom, you're gonna rip it! Let go! I kicked and screamed, but Mom dragged me to the car. I never saw Great-Grandma Edie again. The next morning, the van came to pick her up, but she was already gone. After that, we moved around a lot. We both tried to make the best of it. A few years went by.
なんか好き忘れた。なんだっけこれ。こういう花あるよね。
My mom didn't like to talk about it, but she started getting sick a lot. The rest happened pretty quickly. She got better for a while, and then she didn't. And then I was alone. The last Finch left alive. Until I found out about you. I'm still not sure what to tell you about all this. If we lived forever, maybe we'd have time to understand things. But as it is, I think the best we can do is try to open our eyes. And appreciate how strange and brief all of this is. This journal was supposed to be for you. But now I hope you'll never see it. I just want to meet you. And tell you all these stories myself. But I guess if you're reading this now, things didn't work out that way. This is where your story begins. I'm sorry I won't be there to see it. It's a lot to ask, but I don't want you to be sad that I'm gone. I want you to be amazed that any of us ever had a chance to be here at all. Good luck.
Eh? Eh? He なるほど。間違った。すげえ。パチパチパチだね、これ。なるほどね。すげえなあ。間違えた、間違えた。ああ、これで終わりってことか。あ、ここからあれだ、まだできるわ。なんか、まだ見れる。 エンドロールみたいな感じかな。すげえ、絵の具止まんねえやつか。ってな感じかな。よいしょー。なるほどね。いやーなんか、すごいね。しっかりしてきます、いきます。はい、というわけで、じゃあ、これはこれで終わりかな。なんか、すごいなって、あれですね。感想なんかすごい。こんな感じで、今回はこの辺で終わろうかなと思います。1時間くらい、2時間だわ。やりましたけども。ということで、じゃあ、また来週くらいかなに、別で何かやる予定なので、もしよかったらそっちの方も見てもらえると嬉しいです。ってことで、お疲れ様です。